Shall we? Good morning.
Hi, Manuel.
Thank
Morning.
you for taking the time to have a quick chat about ale. To start you off, how many ales have you been to?
I've been to two ales actually. So my first one was in Vilnius in 2023, and then my second one was last year in Budapest.
And yet you're already so excited about it that it's no doubt that it'll come back next year, or this year,
Oh
I
yeah,
assume. Yeah.
yeah. Like many reasons for that. Well, first of all, it's in Munich, and I spent 1 year, maybe not in Munich, but I spent 1 year in Bavaria. That's where I learned German, by the way. So there you go. And yeah, so the whole aspect of the conference is really fascinating and fantastic.
Yeah. So what would you say are the reasons you keep coming back to ale?
Hmm. Well, for one, it's the people who are there. I mean, many of them are friends or have become friends over the years. So that is, I mean, over the years, it sounds like I've been there all the time, but I've only been twice, so it's funny. And also the atmosphere. So the fact that it's an open space or an unconference also makes it so that there is a surprise element. I mean, I never know what's going to happen. But anyway, like, based on the open space principles, whatever happens is the only thing that could have. For instance, last year in Budapest, there was a scorching heat. And we were on this boat, and so the whole area was also transformed into also a place with shades and so on. When it was too hot, you could also go to some areas and kind of chill and relax. So yeah, there's always the surprises. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I like that too. That it's you keep coming back to the same conference, but it's never the same conference.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
and like even the fact that it's a nomad conference,
Mm.
and a nomad conference where ownership is transformed to a new team from year to year, which means that first year I went to, it was in Vilnius. There was one organizing team with many friends. Then last year it was in Budapest, and this year it's going to be in Munich. And again, the whole ownership is transformed to a new team, which ensures that it keeps being fresh, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's definitely an upside from it.
Mm.
Um, oh, maybe one remark that the thing that you feel like you've already made friends and it feels like over the years, it's probably because you're a very likable person. So it's easy to like you and easy for you to make friends, I guess.
I
Um,
guess. Thanks.
so compared to other conferences you've been to, what's different about ale? What are the maybe couple of things that yeah, this is definitely different about ale. You can only find that there.
So, I'm not sure whether people who watch this are familiar with the open space or a conference format. So Ale is definitely not the only unconference, or not only the only open space conference, but the idea of an unconference is that basically there's no set agenda. So when you register, you are ready to be surprised by definition because you don't know what's going to happen. What I've noticed is also the fact that it's over 3 days fosters the fact that on day two and day three, you can have sessions that are presented based on what happened the day before, or even like based on a conversation. I remember, for instance, last year in Budapest, Stephanie Fisher was having a conversation with a friend at breakfast, and then they decided to do a session based on the women in organization and in toxic environments, and that was like proposed just like that. And so, but this is the whole format of the unconference, and it's not the only one. But the key thing that I find that Ale brings differently is, so the first time I heard about Ale was through Ornella Vasilevskaite in Vilnius, and she told me, "Hey, you really need to go to Ale. It's the best conference ever." Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, yeah. The thing is, I told her, well, I'm often traveling, and my family at some point, they also, I want to stay with them and so on. And then she said, but the best thing about Ale, it's that there is a whole kids and spouses program, so you just bring them with you. And I was like, whoa, that was unexpected. So, a conference that takes into account that people who go to conferences may have families, and they may, be interested in having them join them at the conference. And depending on the age, of course, they can participate in sessions, they can even propose sessions, or they can just do whatever is like organized for them through the Kids and Spouses program. And like, I'm not sure I've ever seen a conference that does that. So, like, there's the Kids and Spouses program. The second thing that is also very specific to ale is the concept of dinner with strangers and drinks with friends. Well, I'm not the first one who talks about this on the videos, but the idea of a dinner with strangers is after the first day of the conference, or during the first day of the conference, basically you see a number of restaurants that have been selected, and then you can put your name on one of them to say, okay, I'm gonna have dinner there. You don't know in advance who's going to join you. Well, of course, you can have conversation like, hey, let's go there and so on. But the whole idea is to not plan this and like be surprised by whatever happens. And so the first time I, my first ale, 2023 in Vilnius, I was there with my son Sebastian and my daughter Daphne. Sebastian was 13 and Daphne was 15 at the time. So I told them, hey, it's dinner with strangers, and here are the list of the restaurants. So my son wrote his name on one of the restaurants, and I'm like, hey, you want me to join you at that restaurant? And he answered, but no, it's dinner with strangers. So, like, I'm fine. I can go there. I'm like, okay, fine. And then Daphne also wrote her name on another restaurant, and same thing. I asked her, hey, should I come with you? And she's like, no, I'm fine. It's dinner with strangers. I'm gonna go there. And so to me, that was really the fact that one, they had captured the spirit of what it is about, and they were ready to be surprised. To me, it also highlights how they felt part of like the community or the group, even though maybe they were not the main target audience of the conference. So, these two things are, plus all the other things, but like these two things are really what, in my view, sets Agile in Europe apart from other conferences.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for those anecdotes. That's lovely. I didn't know that part about your kids going to dinner with strangers on their own. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, also, of course, the fact that I'd been to Vilnius a couple of times and I know the
Mm,
city, and we'd been there also a couple of days, so they had already gotten there, to know the city, and I was totally confident that at the end of the dinner they could walk back to the hotel without any help. Still, I think Ornella walked back with Sebastian at a hotel, but other
yeah,
than that, yeah, it's a nice anecdote. Yeah.
that's awesome. So those are already two great things. My last question is, what's your favorite part? It might well be one of those two, but maybe there's another one that you haven't mentioned.
I find it difficult to select a different part because,
Mm,
and okay, it sounds cheesy when I say that, but for me, ale is a whole experience. So like picking a favorite part is like dismantling the thing. The story about I think in English it's the goose with the golden eggs.
hmm.
So it's the idea like you have this poor family that has a goose that lays golden eggs, and of course they can sell these eggs, become very rich, and then at some point one of them says, you know what, we should like figure out how it's made and what it's all about, and so they kill the goose, and then they try to like I don't know, open up and so on. But ultimately, what they're left with is a dead goose, and they're not producing eggs anymore. So for me, the whole ale is a kind of magical set of all these elements that work together, and picking one apart would be like killing the goose. So I'm gonna say the experience, from start to finish. The Right now, the excitement about like, hey, have you got your ticket yet? And some of my friends, yeah, I've got my tickets, and maybe shall we book a place together or not? And the whole building up to that conference, and then we arrived. Like last year, for instance, we took the train to Ale. So I was with Inge Gargon in Belgium, and I had my daughter and my niece with me. So we took the train, and then we stopped in Wien, where we were greeted by Markus Fissekal, and then on my train to Vienna, I get some texts from Violetta, and so Violetta was at a Coldplay concert in Vienna, and I'm like, "Hey, why don't we take the train together from Vienna?" And so, like, ultimately, the whole group grows to arrive in Budapest, and ultimately, once you're there, it's about seeing the friends back. But if you've never been there, you will definitely see a couple of faces that you've seen before, I guess, or you will be welcomed right from the start. So yeah, it's hard to pick one specific part of it, because to me it's the whole experience.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Like you said, also earlier, I thought, yeah, it's open space, but there's something about that. It's 3 days.
Mm.
Something that happens on the third day that doesn't happen otherwise is that people who never thought like, oh, I don't feel confident enough, I don't have anything to share important enough, or I don't dare for whatever other reason, they get out of the woodworks on day three. They feel so comfortable on the last day. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah, I can present a session. This is safe here.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
also
and
that
this is go ahead.
I was going to say, and this going to the conference, like Slack all of a sudden becomes alive. It's like, oh, well, we're meeting tonight, and it's just if you feel the energy, and it's not just the conference; it's like everything around it that makes
Yeah,
it special.
and even like last year, I was doing a day zero workshop with Aida, and it was a full day thing on facilitation. And I loved it that we just met at her hotel in the evening in the bar to kind of put the final touches together about like, okay, how are we going to run this? How are we going to co-facilitate this? Decide on the last bits and pieces. And it was a chill moment, even though we were facilitating a full day the next day. But it was really a delightful experience seeing the friends again. And then there's also like day three, and depending on again how you choose, this is the whole thing also that makes it easy to go to Ale, is if you want you can stay a couple of extra days and chill in the area with some friends, but you don't have to. This is the whole thing. So people, and I think it was also uh in the first Ale video, was it Sylvia who said that there is this kind of agency. You're responsible for what you want to make of it.
Suzanne,
Suzanne.
they look very similar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was Suzanne. No, please.
It's all right. I think they're used to that, and they're very forgiving, and
Yeah, I
they make
know.
fun of it themselves.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
All right. Is there anything that you would like to add before we wrap this up?
No, I mean, apart from the fact that I'm really excited about this year's event. So, if you want to experience maybe a different kind of conference, if you want to be able to contribute to the experience in whichever way you want to, give Ale a chance, give Agile in Europe a chance, because you never know what might come out of this. It may be scary because you say, okay, how am I going to sign up for a conference where I don't know what's going to happen? But ultimately the reward is huge, and I mean I keep coming back. So yeah,
Yeah. No, that's
that
the
was it.
best recommendation someone can give, I think. Just keep coming back. It's like there's no better sign than that.
Mm, yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Thank you very much, Louis, for taking the time to tell us about your ale experiences.
Thank you, Manuel. It's a pleasure.